Well, hello again. This is the old chatterbox, Deanie Pellegrinin, and we are greeting you today from, if it sounds like we're in a big hall, that's where we are. We're in the Flag Museum. The correct title would be...
House of Flags Museum.
The House of Flags Museum, and that gentleman is Bob Lair. And we also have his spouse and right-hand man, Judy.
Hello, how are you today?
Anyway, this is kind of a one-of-a-kind place, and we hope you'll stay tuned to us for a little bit because we're going to tell you all about it and hope you come to visit it here in Columbus, North Carolina. And, of course, you're hearing us through the courtesy of the Tryon Daily Bulletin, the world's smallest newspaper. And they even received messages from the Netherlands requesting a copy of the paper. How about that?
How about that?
Yeah. So we're real excited about the things we're doing here because since moving here, I've met some of the most interesting people in the world. And the people who are retired, semi-retired, or just working here. But people don't retire here, I find, as these two people are going to tell you about that. They contribute and keep on contributing, and that's why I think we have such long livers here, because people are keeping busy and keeping their brain going. And I'm going to let them do some talking now while I wind down. But Bob and Judy came here from where?
The last place we lived was Charlotte, North Carolina for 9 years.
Are you both Carolinians?
I'm from Virginia originally, and Bob is from Texas.
Well, never the twain shall meet, but here you are in Tryon, North Carolina. So how did you meet, Bob?
We met when I was in the Marine Corps. I was stationed at Quantico, Virginia, and Judy lived in Fredericksburg, and we met there, and 3 months later we were engaged, and 6 months later we were married.
Wow. Well, I tell you, back in the days of your service in the Marines, and you're still a Marine, of course.
A Marine also. I've been in the Army, so I've had two services.
Well, if you get bored, you could always join the Navy.
I had my time with the Navy when I was embarked as a Marine.
Well, that's right. You're on land and on sea, aren't you?
Right.
But anyway, you both were, since you married and had family and so forth, what's been your occupation? What have you done with your life now to make a living?
Right now I'm retired, but before that I was a parish pastor. I was an Army chaplain. I taught in a university and did some work as a chaplain with hospice, and so I've been doing several things.
You're keeping busy, it sounds like. So, right? Okay. And Judy, you've gone along with all of his pastoral work and so forth, but any special activities that you've been involved in before you moved here?
Yes, I was employed with the state of North Carolina in 3 different capacities. I was the manager of the Welcome Center on I-26 in Polk County in the 80s. I worked as a probation parole officer in Buncombe County up in Asheville when we lived in Tryon from 81 to 85. And then when we lived in Charlotte, I worked for the Department of Social Services as a child support enforcement agent.
You can tell they've been married a while because they finish each other's sentences. I think that's always a sign of a happy marriage. But hey, one question I always ask our guests, and the things that intrigue me the most, why did you come to Tryon or Polk County?
We came here because we lived here in the 1980s. We liked the area, and when we hunted a place to retire, we came back here. We liked the area, we liked the climate, and we liked the people.
Well, that's a good combination to have, isn't it? So, I've liked the climate. Of course, we've been lucky this winter with no winter to speak of, but a lot of people, I think, settle here because of the climate. And correct me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, at one time, Saluda, which is in Polk County, just up the hill here a piece, Saluda was considered the Switzerland of the United States. Have you ever heard that remark?
No, I haven't heard that.
No. Oh. Well, see, I'm a newcomer, and I'm telling you old comers here what's going on. But it is fascinating, and I like the fact that people don't retire here.
Well, we retire, but we take up other activities.
But you're not retired from living.
Not
And,
retired from
okay,
living.
what started this House of Flags? Who wants to answer that one?
I'll answer that. It was started it opened its doors September 8th, 2001. It was sponsored by the VFW Post 9116. It was housed in Green Creek in an old building out there until we moved to this new location. We opened our facilities here on 11/11/11, September 11th, 2011.
November.
What did I say?
11.
You said September.
Well,
It's
November.
November 11th.
Who's counting the states or the numbers, right? But so this is still fairly new.
In this location.
Yeah, in this
yes.
location. But-
we-
Well, and is it true? I mean, how do you know this is the only flag museum in the country?
We've done some research.
Good.
We've done some research. This is the only House of Flags museum in the United States, and it's one of 3 museums in the world. The other 2 are privately owned. So this is the only one that's open to the public and not a private collection.
A great resource for the school children here in Polk County.
Oh, yes. It's like a walk through American history.
Yes, yeah. Of course, we could talk for days and days about the different flags you have here, but I'll let you kind of pick out, is there anything special about any one flag or a story about one flag that is especially interesting? Who wants to?
Deanie, let me just step back a minute, because George Schofield, who has passed on, but he was the first man who had this vision. I understand that he was watching a parade one day, and when the American flag came by, nobody stopped or saluted or stood at attention, and he was concerned about the disrespect for the flag, and he thought we needed to re-educate some of the adults and educate the young people. And so it was his vision to do this, and he worked long and hard. He did not live to see us in the new spot here in Columbus, but he was the guiding light and the spirit that started it out in Green Creek. So we don't want to forget to mention George Schofield.
I'm sure he's very prominently displayed in picture or something here. How did you go about? I thought, well, the hell, these flags. Did people just say, "Oh, I think I'll send them a flag"? But how did you assemble these individual states you wrote to, or what was the procedure?
The first gift to the museum. You see the flags here, around the walls, the American flags from the 13 colonies to the 50-star flag. All 27 official U.S. flags were donated by one couple. And
Well, that was a good start, wasn't it?
And then we've had other flags either sponsored or donated. If someone sponsors a flag, they will tell us, I'd like to sponsor a certain flag, and they make a donation and we purchase it. Some of the flags were given personally, owned by someone who wanted to make a gift to the museum, and so we have a combination of flags that were sponsored, flags that were just bought, and flags that have been given individually.
You had a display recently that was, I thought, really a highlight for the museum, and that was the display of the 3 flags under General was it Eisenhower? The 3 flags that changed in the states and so forth?
We had 6 flags that were in the Oval Office. We had the 3 48, 49, and 50-star United States flags, and the 48, 49, and 50-star presidential flags. 2 of those flags came from the Eisenhower Museum in Kansas, and the other flags were privately owned by a collector in Florida who received them from his father-in-law, who worked for the Quartermaster Museum when Eisenhower was the president.
I see. Judy, you had anything you wanted to add to that? You look like you were going to say something.
No, I'm just listening.
Judy's like me. She always has a word or two to put in. We like to talk, don't we, Judy?
Yes, we do.
Yes,
We both volunteer at St. Luke's Hospital Thrift Shop in Tryon, so we get to visit there sometimes too. Deanie and I.
We always, during the interviews I'm doing, I always get a plug in for that because the auxiliary is the first thing. In fact, Judy is the reason, I'm digressing right now, but then I'm known for digression. But I saw her in a store, and she had on this jacket, and she had these buttons on it and so forth, and I thought, well, she looks like someone really important. And so I went over and said, hi. I said, you look like a busy person or something to that effect. Well, it turned out she had on some, like scouts, merit badges for all of her hours she puts in at the auxiliary. And one word led to another. The next thing I knew, I was working. And so that was my introduction to Tryon, really. I've been here 4 years, but I've been, I guess, 3 years or better with the auxiliary. And I've seen it grow into new quarters, and it's just been an eye-opener, and that's the reason I started these interviews we're doing for the Bulletin, because people would come into the shop, and I'm usually the bag lady, and so when I'm bagging, I always want to know where people are from. And you realize how many people from way off stop around here?
Yes.
You get it here at the museum.
Oh, yes. We've had them from other countries. We've had them from northern states. We've had them from the West. We've had people from all over the United States that have visited here.
Well, I went to the store one day and ran into one of the auxiliary members, and she introduced me to her a relative from New Zealand who was stopping off on his way to the Tour de France. And it just goes on, and I'm always saying, well, what, and then people who've moved here, when I find out you're not a native and so forth, what brought you here? And, there really isn't an answer. There's an atmosphere that I think just entraps people like it did Mr. Gillette many years ago.
Yes. We've had visitors here from the Philippines. We've had a visitor here from Switzerland. We've had people from all over the United States, but
Ohio.
Even Ohio, yes. Texas.
And want to get Virginia?
Oh, yes, Virginia, absolutely.
Virginia. How do you publicize the museum, aside from things such as the North Carolina State, was it University or someone did a video recently, but how do you get the word out to people?
Recently there was a film done by UNC Television. We've had local television stations to do brief spots, and the newspapers have been very good at covering them. We've had articles published in journals. The Flagmaster from London, England, had an article, and so
what's a Flagmaster?
That's a publication of the British.
Okay.
That the flag geeks, the people that are interested in flags.
You heard it here, the flag geeks. I've never heard of Britain referred to as a flag geek.
Yeah.
Well, also we have a website that we try to keep active, and it has interesting information, current information and videos about the museum and about our grand opening on November 11th, 2011. So that's another thing that people can access, people that are computer literate, and so many of our population are that these days. So the website does help. And from time to time we have articles in different magazines, and depending on some of our volunteers and their connections with different magazines, we will have an article in, say, a military magazine.
Do you have brochures that you put like at the state line when they have the welcome centers?
We have them in the Welcome Center on I-26, and we have them also at First Peak, which is the local welcome center in Columbus.
So have you seen an increase in patriotism since you've been involved with this flag collection? Is that a tough question? I mean,
it's hard to gauge patriotism. We've seen an increased interest in the flags, and when people learn the stories behind the flags, that can sometimes stimulate more of a patriotic attitude. It's interesting for school children to come through here, and when you tell a story, the flag takes on a new meaning to them.
Well, it's something visual they can see and touch. Is there now? These are all displayed where you can of course, we don't like to encourage touchy-feely, but they aren't under glass. They're where you can actually see them hanging as they would on a flagpole or whatever. Is there any chance this can be, will you have to replace these maybe years down the way, or what will happen to the material?
Oh, yes, we'll have to replace all of them eventually.
And speaking of replacement, we do have a gift shop, and we sell flags and all kinds of flag memorabilia, because people such as ourselves fly flags, and there are different expenses for flags. We get the less expensive one and just replace it more often. But we have brochures that tell you about flag etiquette. For example, if you fly a flag, you should have a light on it at night, things of that nature. And so that's part of the learning experience. We do have things for sale, but we do try to help people learn about the proper use of the flag. I myself have stopped at motels, I've stopped at businesses because the flag was in tatters, and that is dishonoring the flag. And because I want respect, I'll take the time to stop and remind people about that.
Yeah.
We have some books in the gift shop that are suitable for children,
Okay.
and some that are suitable for adults that tell stories behind the flag also. So the gift shop is not only a place that you can purchase flags, but books about flags and related materials.
We even sell big flagpoles and lights to go on the top of the flagpoles. So, and if we don't have it in the gift shop, we can order it for people. And let me mention while I'm talking, Deanie, about the hours that our museum is open. It is kept open by volunteers. This is an all-volunteer organization. And the hours on Tuesday and Thursday are 10 to 1, and on Saturday from 10 to 4. So we encourage people to come during those hours. However, if they cannot come during those hours, we have volunteers who will make the museum available if they'll call 828-894-8744 and talk with either me or Bob, and we'll make sure that someone will take them through for a private tour, whether it's 2 people or 25 or 50 people.
The more the merrier.
We've had groups that come through on days that we're not usually open.
Uh-huh.
We try to make it convenient for people, and I've even I even opened it up one day after hours for a man who had tried for weeks to get here. He was a traveling salesman, and he said, "I don't think I can get there by 4 o'clock." I said, "Call me when you get in the area." So he called me about 5:30, and I spent 2 hours with him.
Well, he wouldn't forget you, I'm sure, after that. Where was he from?
He bought some flags.
Oh, that you were quite the same. Well, he felt like he had to do something. You were so nice to him. Right?
He was from Charlotte.
Okay, not too far away, but it's always good, I think, to see people showing respect. I've heard people say, well, it's just a piece of cloth. I mean, why do people, and these people almost got their teeth knocked out by yours truly. I said, it's not just that. It's a symbol of the men and women who have sacrificed, given their lives. So this country is as great as it is, and I think we're going to have to kind of restore some of that patriotism.
Yes. Well, the flag stands for the nation. It stands for the people who have made the nation great from the very beginning, and it's more than just a piece of cloth.
Right. It's a symbol. And symbols take on meaning. No one worships the flag, but we respect it.
We respect it. We respect for what it stands for.
Right. That's it. I think that's well put. It's what it stands for. And we need to stand up for it now. We're going through some rough times, but we'll get together. I'm reading Paul Reed's The Last Lion. Have you read that yet?
Oh, yes.
Did you get all the way through it?
I'm about 700 and something.
Well, I'm about 1 inch through it. I can't hold it in my lap. I have to lay it on a table. But I urge everyone who can get a copy of this to get it and to take the time, sit down and read it bit by bit, because I'm reliving those war years, and it just makes me realize what an old curmudgeon he was. But Churchill was there at the right place at the right time, wasn't he?
Oh, yes.
Quite a guy. And
I love the stories of Churchill, and he had a great sense of humor.
Oh, and he drank all the time, but he was never drunk. I mean, that's what amazed me. I mean, I guess that's what made him so great. The fact that he was in the spirit.
If I lived during the time that he did and experienced the things that he did, I might be consuming a lot more than he did.
Well, that and then the movie out, Lincoln. I urge everyone and take your children to see this. Have you seen it yet?
Yes, we have. It's well done.
Yeah, I cried.
It was very well done.
Yeah, it's very well done, and so we're hoping to get Paul Reed to take some of his busy time now. He's on a tour, a signing tour right now. But I urge you to get this book, The Last Lion, and I urge you also to get in touch with, if you can't make it during the hours, make an appointment to bring your group, any group you have, and especially with children. Bring them to the Hall of Flags.
House of Flags Museum.
I've called it the Hall of Flags, a museum of flags.
And when they do plan to come, if they'll call me or Bob, and let me give you that number again, 828-894-8744. We'll also give you the names of some restaurants in the area, because we've had groups come from Charlotte, and they come so that they can look at the House of Flags Museum in the morning, have lunch, and then come back to the House of Flags Museum in the afternoon. So there's no charge, and we'll make arrangements for them to find a restaurant of their choice, and we want it to be a good experience.
Well, we want them to come and stay and see our little town, and if you have a business that you want to put in, this is a good place. We're open for business, aren't we?
We're open for business, and we can let you spend as much time as you choose to in the museum. You can come and have the 15-minute tour. You can come and have the 2-hour tour. I usually ask people, how much time do you have? We'll tailor our presentation to how much time you have. And so I've taken people on a short tour, and then they've come back at another time for a longer tour.
Well, they just that was what you call an hors d'oeuvre the first time.
That's right. And then they come back for a full meal.
Yeah,
They can spend days in here.
Oh, I know. It's just a great place. And I want to thank you all for letting me come and chat with you today, and we hope that you get lots more people coming in. And as I said, we're here in a small town of the town of Tryon itself is 2,000. The population of Columbus is around 2 or 3, maybe.
About 500 probably. The whole county is 19,000.
Yeah, we're 19,000 for the whole county. But I say we're a dot on the map, but we're the crossroads of the world. And believe it or not, come here and spend some time, and you'll meet the most interesting people. It's just a great place to live. It's a great place to volunteer, and we have all sorts of good medical facilities, hospitality, and lots of interesting things to see. So come see us. We're here in Tryon, North Carolina, and we want to thank the Daily Bulletin for allowing us to use some of their space to let you meet all these nice people. Thanks again to Bob and Judy Lair. Yes?
We're located in Columbus now.
Oh, well, I look at this as one big city. So, I mean, Columbus, Tryon, Lynn, Saluda, even Landrum, South Carolina, we're all looped together here. And so we either stay together or we hang together or what. But anyway, it's been fun. And thank you so much. And maybe we can do this again when there's something special going on. We'll bring our little microphone in and we'll talk to some of the visitors. How's that?
It'll be fine.
Good.
Come anytime.
Good. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you. And have a good day.